Hey guys, welcome back. So we're going to follow on from a previous video we done on new shafts, new launch product for 2019. We previously done a couple of reviews on the Acra TZ5, TZ6, Ryzen Black, Ventus. A lot of the product we saw at the show. This stuff we're going to do today, we actually never saw at the show.
No, we didn't. It was more stuff that you got in the shop in the last month or so.
Really,
for the
in the
most
last
part.
couple of weeks, really, we got in new demo product, and we have a little special.
Yes, one of them is very special.
Very special, which is still in prototype phase, but we know that it's most likely going to make its way onto the line. So
Aldila Rogue 130.
Yes,
that's the new offering from them in this category.
Really. It's got big shoes to fill, this guy.
Yeah. Was it 110 was the previous?
125 MSI, the previous version, and it was used to win a bunch of majors. Spieth, made that one. Right. His shaft of choice to win a couple of his majors, and a bunch of other tour players played that one as well. So that one is, they've actually not strayed too far away from the previous Formula Matti.
Okay.
So 130 MSI is a reference to a slightly stronger material than the previous edition, but it really is not too different.
Probably because it was so successful, they were just incrementally improving it.
Exactly.
Okay. Probably something along the similar vein. This is the Diamana DF, or DF, sorry.
DF, yeah. So this one has been in the works really since Justin Thomas done so well with the BF, the Blue Force.
Right. Yep.
DF has kind of been the next version of that. So Diamana, the flagship line from Mitsubishi, have always had three profiles, and it was always white board, blue board, red board, and we see that in other sort of parts of the company, even with Tensei white, blue, orange and red, orange being their high balance point offering. So the DF is really come into the line for the guys who are looking for a little bit of a flatter ball flight. Maybe they found the BF was a little bit hit it a bit higher than they would really want. And that was what they were working on with Justin Thomas, a shaft that could flatten his ball flight a little bit. Gotcha. Somebody who hits up on it a ton. But again, it's really, the flagship line from Mitsubishi, Japanese made, tightest tolerances, no corners cut when it comes to material content, all the way down to the ion finish, which is always really premium.
Really sharp.
I mean, it's as good as it gets.
So this is considered more premium shaft than the Tensei line within their range. Yeah,
it is. And here's the kind of controversial thing from a Mitsubishi standpoint. Obviously, you've got product made in Japan. Gets obviously given the sort of accolade of being tighter tolerances, the tightest in the industry. Tensei is actually made in China.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So which is, a bit of a, when people hear that, they're like, oh, it's made in China. Yeah. I mean, you'll just have to look at the wins, the players who play it. It doesn't mean by any means it's a bad shaft, but, in the hierarchy at Mitsubishi, the Diamana line is their focus.
Up there.
That's their focus. And Tensei obviously is. Tensei, I think, has been developed for the North American market.
I think so.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I think that's the nature of it. The materials, the bend profiles, much stronger, and kind of obviously the profiles, the eye curves. Whereas the Diamanas, certainly Red Force, which is the new one we just also got in, a little bit softer profile, maybe a little bit more J-spec in design.
Right.
BF is for someone with a pretty aggressive swing, but DF is definitely for the guy who hits
the faster player.
Yeah.
Interesting. So last but not least, this is one that has not actually been released yet, and you'll see by the sort of blank badging here.
Yes.
New shaft from TPT.
Prototype from TPT.
Yeah. So this is, well, you tell me, but this is going to be called the 14.5.
14.5.
14.5.
Yeah.
Didn't exist before, they just went down to 15 was the strongest.
That's right.
So tell us about who was testing this, I guess, the previous season.
So this was the Jason Day shaft.
Day. Gotcha.
So he played, there was obviously the 15 series, and he wanted something slightly stronger than that one.
Right.
So they made a shaft for him that was a little bit tighter, a little bit stiffer. They made it a little bit heavier, a fraction heavier.
Okay. A few grams.
So obviously the coding that goes on the TPT shaft. So this is LKP, low kick point, LT, low torque, and SW, which is standard weight. Yeah,
right.
I said that without even looking at this.
I was just going to say, I'm reading this engraving, you're rhyming it off.
Memorized that one. So, yeah, that's the player that one's for. Now, there is a stronger one. We actually have it as well. It's the Bryson DeChambeau one, the 14 series.
That's the 14.
Which is really quite stiff.
That will be the stiffest one they make, more than likely?
Most likely, yeah. There's unlikely going to be anyone who's kind of swinging it that fast. So these are the real fast swingers, the real hitters. So I'm going to be really curious because you've played the 15 LKP, LT.
All last year.
All last year.
So this is just refined a little bit heavier, a bit stiffer.
Correct, exactly it. Exactly.
Yeah,
so
I'm definitely curious about that. Absolutely. So we've got the Ping G410. We got a lower lofted head.
We got the 9, which we think is going to be more suitable for you, and we're kind of wondering if this is going to be the gamer, aren't we?
It might be, yeah. Yeah, this is the first, the maiden voyage with the correct loft, so we'll see how that is. Now, I'm going to disclaimer the fact that I'm not going to swing that fast today.
We're not going to see the usual Matty speeds.
I'm not pushing it in the recovery, but we'll certainly be able to compare the shafts one against another, which is really all we're doing today anyway.
Yeah, but we'll still be plenty fast enough, even at 70-80%.
All right, so let's do Aldila first.
Okay. So one thing to note with Rogue, Matty, is the higher balance point. So the Rogue line is designed with slightly heavier fibre in the butt section.
Okay.
Designed to get the ball, the balance point up, the kind of CG higher up the shaft in order to increase club head speed.
We're considering this a counterbalance shaft at
Definitely.
that point? Okay.
Yep.
That's nice. So just for my reference, when was the last time you gave me something counterbalance? Wow. Are you laughing at the screen?
No, I'm laughing at how far it went.
I'm trying to keep my feel in mind and refer it to something else. What have we hit that's been counterbalanced?
Tennessee Orange,
Tennessee
obviously. High balance point. What have we done with you that's high balance?
It may have just been that, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't think we've done too much with you. And I tell you what, this thing, I mean, I'm kind of expecting some of these to be a little snappy, but
that was just a bad strike. I wouldn't.
Yeah, just low middle.
I wouldn't blame it on anything but a bad strike. That's certainly nothing to be upset about. Try to middle it a bit more. It doesn't feel super stiff. I'm noticing that balance point difference though.
Are you?
A little bit.
It's not an overly heavy shaft. It's 66 grams.
It doesn't feel like I've got a lot of weight total. Mm-hmm. I do perceive the head feeling a little bit lighter, but that's compared to my driver, which is quite heavy.
Notoriously low balance point, the TPT stuff.
So that's, it's not a feel that I'm married to. It's just, it definitely feels different when I get away from that.
Mm-hmm. It's coming back nicely.
Yeah, hit that
Look
well.
at that one. Bombed that one.
The heck was that? It's a freak.
It's the high toe.
It's the high toe giving me the best efficiency I've ever had. That's funny.
It sounded better.
Yeah. I don't mind this at all. It's nice.
What a difference going to the 9-degree for you, eh?
It really flattens the ball out, doesn't it?
Night and day. It's kind of brought you back in terms of...
It's put the numbers kind of in the right slot, hasn't it? The launch and spin. It's a bit of a pull.
Not bad though.
It's really not bad, no. Like, to be honest with you, not one of those was a terrible result.
No.
A push, but
yeah. So I would say with this one, Matty, we'll see when it comes to the other ones. Strike point is a fraction erratic.
It is. I think I'm not timing this the best.
No,
would be my feedback. It feels nice and smooth, but I feel that maybe just the weight is placed in a way that's not for me.
Yeah, launch conditions, it's hard to argue. So, who knows if we played around with that a little bit more, we couldn't do better with it. But, all right, Matty, let's see what we got with the TPT 14.5. So, I would say The 15 series would have been called an X-Flex. This would be like a TX.
Right. So your bonus stiffness.
Yeah, this
shaft.
is your Tour X, and that's exactly what the Rogue we tried there was. That was a 60 TX.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Interesting. That immediately looked to me the same way that swing looked like the time I gave you a Kurokage 70 TX and it gets stuck behind you and you just blocked.
That's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah. Just the way that club came down on the downswing, it looked trapped behind you, nothing you can do. You're stuck hitting a block.
Do you think that's a balance point difference for my swing, that where the counterbalance was helping me slot
Could
it
be helpful just to get that club head back out in front of you. Now, you're such a good player that you're going to, the next 4 swings, adjust and you'll hit these just fine. Right. I think shot 1 for me with good players is so revealing.
It is, yeah.
Because you've not yet had an opportunity to react.
It's true. Yeah, and exactly what you said is probably would have been my feedback to you, was I felt that coming through impact.
Adjustment made.
That's nice.
Ooh, that's outrageous.
That's 2 freak balls in the high toe we've had.
I know.
Really good marks for the high toe on this. That's crazy.
If anyone hits it in the high toe, buy themselves a G410.
Seriously, that's crazy. That's more of like a balanced strike, I think. Should be closer to center.
This looks so good. So when we were setting up the range, Matty said to me, I might sneak one on the green at 325 today. Really?
I mean, in fairness.
Really, I might sneak one on the green. 357. Yeah, let's hit a couple more.
Do you think I've adjusted to this a bit after the first swing? Tried not to.
Yeah, I think so. But
Probably.
I mean, again, not that that's that bad of a thing. I think over time you probably would adjust.
Like, do you think if someone picks up his shaft, gets the reaction that we got, should they just go, oh, like that was a bad swing, throw it out?
No.
Or do you need to give it a couple?
I think you've got to do further testing.
I think that's an important note, because I think too many people do exactly that. They'll go, oh, like that's no good.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. This driver's really interesting to me, though.
It is.
How little of the right side we've seen so far.
Thanks for the jinx. Announcer's curse. No, you're right, though. It feels like it will stay down the left side. Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh. That's wild.
That was quick, 176 there.
It really feels like I'm getting a lot out of it. A lot out of the impact. I can't say this head feels jumpy whatsoever, but it feels very solid. Like you feel like the ball's coming off quick, but it's not. Have you hit any with this yet?
No.
It's firm. It feels very firm. Yeah. It's different.
Do you think that's because the acoustics are louder this year? Do you think
Certainly possible.
maybe the sound of it gives you a slightly
Because I hit a couple
feel?
with mine just before. They've changed it quite a lot.
Yeah.
One more, or do you want
One more. Yeah, let's give us 5 with each. That'll be good.
Ooh. That's pretty good too.
Really nice there.
Little right on my start line, but other than that, just fine with it.
What did you feel from that shaft? Who do you think is going to be the player that kind of would enjoy this one?
Isn't that your job?
I can tell you what I think from
the
numbers.
I'll tell you what I felt. So it feels obviously heavier in the head. I think that's not a surprise.
Right.
I felt more. This is the part where I'm curious to see what you're going to say, because it felt like it was softer in the butt section, even though I'm sure it probably actually wasn't. And maybe I was just feeling the weight distribution, but I felt the weight and the way the shaft was kicking, I felt everything more towards the head. So I don't know if that is higher stiffness up in the butt versus Aldila. Maybe it is, but it's not what I felt.
Well, the bad news is I can't even tell you yet.
Well, that's right, because
it's still prototype. So
True.
we don't even get to see the EI profiles of them until they actually release it.
Fair.
But
we can guess, I guess.
yeah, we can, I mean, so this is bringing to life a version from last year. So it basically is last year's 15 LKPLT, a little bit stiffer in the tip section.
Okay.
That's basically what it is.
So you think the tip section is probably the main difference?
I think so.
If I were to go based off 5 shots, I would be happy to swap out my 15 series for that, because I think it feels a little bit more stable to me. Not that mine feels unstable, but it just, that's obviously what they set out to do. They make an incremental, half flex change or whatever that would be.
Okay, Mr. Diamana.
On to the fancy pants, ion plating.
So nice. I love the look of that thing.
It is nice.
Okay, Matty, let's see how we feel with this one.
Slow on the head.
Okay.
Warm up.
Very playable, this driver for you. So such a
and
nice,
you just get away with pretty much every miss,
nice
don't
miss.
you? Yeah.
Very interesting to see. Look at all the ball speed retention on low and low strike.
For almost a topper, to be honest.
Yeah. Very interesting for me to see, though, that you almost have to bring the loft down this year to make it play like last year's.
So do you think this is higher spin than the regular G400? We know it's higher spin than my LST.
Yeah,
do you think it's higher spin?
I've seen that this year. I don't, just initially, I've not done too much with it yet. I've done bits, but I'm definitely seeing the best results I've seen with it today.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, this is the best I've seen it.
So this is fair to say for now. It's the max. It's closer to the max.
Exactly what I would say.
It looks more like the max, I think. Even it really does. That was good. Maybe a little bit low strike.
Yeah, it's definitely got a little more spin to it.
I'm feeling that I fell back a bit. No, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's okay. Definitely had a bit more spin, but it also had quite a lot more ball speed.
This shaft feels good so far.
Does it? Smooth?
Does, yeah, that's what I would say. I'm having a hard time picking apart the feel of it. I guess that means that you're not necessarily feeling extremes, I guess.
I mean, the part of the shaft, Matty, that is a bit stiffer in this one is actually the midsection. It's got a very stiff midsection.
So you would have a hard time perceiving that.
Yeah, yeah. That's the biggest difference between this and Blue Force is actually the middle of the shaft. They've beefed it up a little bit.
A little pulley, but good. I'm finding this one easier to swing. I feel like I'm working a little bit less. That was good.
You can just see the confidence growing with you with this one.
Yeah, I think timing has felt the best with this so far.
That's really good.
That was really good.
This lower spin, that one. Look at it just flatten out a little bit.
I think I probably just aligned myself maybe too much down the right, but that one was really solid.
Interesting.
3 very different shafts to swing, like very, very different in feel.
All right, good stuff, well done. What would your feedback be just from a player's perspective? I'll dive into the numbers in a second, but you've got 3 shafts. I think you've got 3 extremely different profiles. You've got counterbalance Rogue, you've got low balance point TPT, and you've got obviously DF somewhere in the middle. Yeah,
and exactly how you've said it is kind of how it shaped up in the test for me in terms of feel. I felt like this was a pretty good match for me. I was very aware of the counterbalancing. I think it did suit my timing quite well though. TPT felt the stiffest for sure, and definitely felt the most weight and kind of, I guess the most mass and stiffness towards the tip.
Down at that head.
Which again makes sense. And this was just, to me, I had a hard time feeling anything to even tell you because it just felt quite smooth. Like the swings just sort of felt, I didn't feel as conscious of trying to time my swing better. I think a couple times, especially with the Rogue, hit good shots, but I felt myself thinking about it a little bit more to time it well. This, and it shows, I guess, in the ball speed. I ramped up my club head speed a bit with the DF because I just sort of felt like I wasn't having to think about it quite as much. So my takeaway would be those 3 shafts would suit 3 completely different timing sort of swings, or I guess tempo swings, maybe different transition speeds, things like that. Yeah. That's probably the most I've ever felt between 3 shafts in terms of feel. Not obviously that much in launch, but I feel-wise, I think as you switch between the 3, I felt a lot going on.
And I think that's the value we can kind of always offer here, is that here's 3 offerings. Each one could be recommended for a player at a certain swing speed if you're trying to control your launch conditions, all considered pretty much low launch, low spin options. But the balance point variation on all of them is so different that you definitely you're noticing a significant difference when you swing them.
Absolutely.
You know, they're not different versions of each other at all.
Not at all, no. And it's interesting that you said, yes, they're designed for a similar player, and that's how people will buy them, I think. If they're not given the right advice, they'll say, all of those shafts suit this swing speed, but I can guarantee you give those 3 shafts to someone with a different tempo as me, but same speed, they'll have, you know, completely different results. Maybe they'll prefer the feel of one another one.
Well, looking at the results, obviously you could see the confidence flow through you with the Diamana. You looked like you were very comfortable with that one. Looking at your ball flight, the TPT was by far the most resistant to the curvature of the ball turning over too much. I really like that. It just looked super accurate for me.
All the shots that I liked the most that stayed on the left side of the pin were with that driver. You're right.
And then you've got Aldila, which looked good. The Rogue looked like you could play that one quite nicely. And you know, I kind of feel that, to be honest, with all of them, I could really, with more time spent on settings and different stuff, I could really kind of dial you in with all of them.
Certainly possible.
You know, this one, you know, we've kind of put a head setup together that we thought would work for you. Weight in the toe, face a little open. I mean, forget the shafts for 1 second. I mean, this is an 8-degree driver.
It's unheard of. Never been below.
I've
been in a 10-degree head opened, haven't I?
That's it. And this is
a full degree loft.
This is the 9-degree set 2 degrees open. Which is playing you at 8. So interesting the sort of head design, or the way the CG is on G410 is that it's giving you a little bit higher launch, higher spin. And
I think they've addressed G400 Max being kind of slow. I'm being relative here, but it was a little slow and a little spinny low in the head.
You got a couple low there, didn't you?
And yes, obviously the spin kicked up, of course it would, but the speed was good. Like it really was fast down in the head, low in the head and high in the toe.
Efficient.
So I think they've done better with that, for sure. If someone has a Max, they should at least take a look at it. You may pick up some miss-hit distance.
Oh, and then the new additional kind of sleeve settings, the weights in there, so you've got more options to dial in. Or should I say, I've got more options, you know, as the fitter to dial in. So. I think Ping's back in the race with you.
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, for sure. It's such a comfort level. I mean, this head being not the LST model, it's bigger, so I'd have to get used to that. But I don't know. There's a familiarity with it. The way it sits down, it just kind of tends to work out okay.
Okay.
Interesting stuff, though. I mean, there's a lot of people, I think, wasting $600 on a shaft, $500 on a shaft, because they didn't think that 3 shafts designed for the same person on paper, they'll think they're perform the same. You know, I like the graphics of that. Whoever I watch on tour uses it, I want that one. But they didn't hit this and find out that it was better for them because of their timing, or vice versa. It's just, I would hate to see people wasting their money like that. But it does happen. That's kind of every day. I would assume some people get
every
out on the
single
golf
day.
course.
Yeah, and then, you know, without there really being a concrete reason for why you'd pick, you know, any one of these balance points. I mean, there's nothing black and white about choosing a balance point for a player. There's nothing, you know, it's not like you know, different tip sections or different bend profiles where we pretty much know what's going to happen when we give them to. It's just options for us to key in the feels and preferences of the player. And obviously, back to the build side of it, you know, we know we know what we're going to get with that. So, you know, even if we look at something like, you know, let's look at the head weight on G410.
Sure, yeah.
You know, last year we talked so much about how heavy it was. So this is minus the sleeve, and we know the sleeve weighs about 6 grams, but let's see. Yeah, I mean it's still again in the heaviest, you know, set. So that's there. 201 grams.
Right.
On the G410, you know, compare that to an M6. 193.
Yeah. So right. it's going to be on the heavier side.
It's 8 grams heavier.
So then, are you leaning towards the fact that that would be a good option to look at a counterbalance shaft
Maybe,
to avoid this being too heavy for
exactly.
some, if they're not the person that likes a heavy head?
Yeah, that's it. You know, depending on obviously the grip and what we do with that, and balancing out the club, and you know, as we trade off, you know, more club head mass, more ball speed through that. Maybe we offset that by making the balance point higher and keep the swing speed high, so we get high speed with, you know, a higher impact mass. All those sorts of things, you start to build the equation in your mind, and you go about your business testing.
So it's a good build option to give you some more options. It's a bit of a wild card in terms of field, but it's something you can give the option for, and then you see how it reacts with someone.
Well, I mean, it'd be very interesting, you know, to put that TPT in G410 and put it in the swing weight scale and see what that comes out at. I would think you're probably going to end up there D6, D7,
which is what mine is.
Which is heavy.
Yeah. So that's a limited preference. Like, not everyone's going to like that, but it can be suitable for some. It certainly is familiar to me.
Yeah. But for where you feel that mass.
Absolutely. Okay.
Good. Cool. Okay, 3 more ticked off the list. We've got a few more, but we're kind of the shafts that suit you, and we'll do more, you know, 2019 shaft testing with other members of the test team.
Different sections of the product lines.
Yeah. Exactly.
That are at different flex points and different weights and stuff like that.
Be curious to do some stuff like that with Ronnie and with Lindsay, and
that'd be good for him too.
I think that'd be good, just to do a little bit more of the softer tests. I'd like to do the RF, the new Red Force. I'd like to.
Looks really good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Sharp.
Yeah. I think
okay, so this is part 2. There'll be many more parts to come. One more part of. You think you're going to get a few more, just because I know they're going to get asked, graphite design or something like that?
Yeah,
we'll do one more part for that?
VR coming in from graphite design. What else have we got? We have extorsion green.
Okay.
So
stay tuned for a couple more, and then we'll get into the other segment of the market too.
Good.
All right.
Excellent. Okay, guys, appreciate you watching. Let us know if you've tried any of these shafts so far and what you think. Let us know your thoughts on balance point. I want to hear other people's experience and when they've tested balance. Has anyone tested balance point?
I would wonder if people are playing a shaft that they weren't aware was counterbalance.
I know.
And they may have found out the wrong way, kind of thing.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I think that's very true.
All right.
Good to know.
Look forward to more.
All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.